is there something wrong with me that this isn't happening for me as fast as I wanted or in the same time as everyone else? Like, this song is such a consolation of like with all that you are, I'm not missing out.
Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Just wanted to say hi. If you're new here, my name is Joe. I'm a songwriter, worship leader from Vancouver, BC. Super excited about this year. As you know, I'm releasing brand new music this year, and the first song that I wrote with Mona Therese just came out this past Friday. It's called Nowhere Without You. You can listen to it. It's available now on all platforms. Check out the link in the description below to listen to it. This video coming up is all about that song, but also how it clashes with Valentine's Day. And something for Catholics that we wrestle with is our vocation. Why is it so frustrating to discern our vocation, and why God makes us wait sometimes? So if you're new to this channel, please make sure to check out the video. If you like the content, do me a favor and hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to keep hearing more about this new song, Nowhere Without You. God bless and take care. All right, welcome to the call. Happy Valentine's Day, you guys. We're here on
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
We're here on the YouTube channel. It's 3 days since Nowhere Without You just came out, and wow, we're on a Zoom call on Valentine's Day. What a great way, you know. There's nothing that screams we've made it than being on a Zoom call on Valentine's Day.
You do what you gotta do, you know.
So we're here with some guests. We have a conversation coming up, just a little bit of a conversation around the song that just came out, Nowhere Without You, and our discussion for this evening. It's titled, actually, funny enough, Vocation Frustration. We've got our friends Mona Therese, Mona Buagin, Emma Mate, and Johan Rego. So Mona, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, I'm Mona, going by Mona Therese. I co-wrote this song that we'll be speaking about. I'm currently living in Victoria, doing ministry out here with Catholic Christian Outreach. Just been writing for maybe 3-4 years now, and this is my first song out here in the real world.
Amazing. Like, oh man, like an amazing feeling to finally like be out there and have like released your music, and now you're a professional musician. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I think we were talking one day, Joe, and you said, this isn't just a hobby, Mo. Like, this is, you can say you're a published artist. Like, you can say that this is, some professional work, and very, very proud of it. Very, very blessed to be able to share it with everyone. So
amazing. And we have our friends here. Emma, welcome, Emma. I'm going to spotlight you.
Hello.
Where are you coming from?
I am currently in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm also doing ministry here with Catholic Christian Outreach. I'm originally from Niagara, Ontario, and I'm so excited to be talking with you guys about this today. Congratulations on your song. It's so beautiful. Whoa. It's so
super
cool.
fun. It's super fun to have our friends. You know, it's super great just to have our friends on the call, like just to talk about music and to talk about what God's doing in our lives. And you know, whoever's watching this, whether it's 10 of you, 100 of you, 1,000 of you, just pretend like you're in a living room with us chatting about these things. You know, like, you know, perhaps we might have the opportunity to do this in person sometime soon, but these are the kinds of things that, you know, it's the spice of life. You know, this is what real community looks like. But we also have our friend Johan. Johan, how's it going, my guy?
Hi, everyone. My name is Johan. I'm a student at SFU. I just recently heard the song, loving everything about it. I can't wait to dive in and talk.
Yeah, and Johan, like, I mean, back in your day, like, weren't you at like the seminary in Vancouver for some time?
I was for 1 year. I went to the high school. I think for a while I was really scared to go because, you know, I didn't want to lose out on regular high school and all that. But, you know, I mean, look, I'm happy I went. And the only thing I wished is that I went sooner.
We'll dive into that. I'd love to hear more about that in the context of our conversation today. So let's jump into this grid view real quick. So our song just came out, and Mona and I maybe just say a few things about the song. Like, we wrote it a year and a half ago. it was in a time where we're not too far off from what we're still living, because we thought it'd be over by now, but things are still kind of lingering on, you know, in this strange pandemic life. But I don't know, like I feel like a lot of the core of the song came from just your own lived experience, Mona, of like what you were experiencing at that time. You were still in school, but yeah, take us through like the initial kind of feeling that sparked the song.
Probably very relatable to a lot of our listeners. 2020 came as a shock, and for me it was in my graduation year, so last year at Simon Fraser University, and I had finished a bunch of courses, and I'm living this whole summer with absolutely nothing to do until my final course in the fall. So it just felt like I was kind of graduated, kind of not, literally in between stages in my life. And amidst all this, in a pandemic where I'm locked in my room, I can't even hang out with my friends, celebrate this accomplishment that's like I'm really at like the tail end of. And so yeah, just like being in my room, reflecting in that, that's where a lot of these lyrics were born. Okay, God, like I'm here, and maybe this is exactly where I need to be. And in hindsight, I can confidently say, like, just sitting in my room with the Lord was exactly where I needed to be. I didn't need to go out. I didn't need to celebrate or live my senior year in some extravagant way. It was just the simplicity of being with God in that. Yeah, it wasn't, not to say it was easy going through it, but definitely glad I had that.
Like to bring Emma and Johan into like the songwriting process. Mona and I are still very much like baby songwriters. Like we're not masters in any way. We're still just learning and trying to get better at it. And so we're like, hey, let's like write songs together. And we've written a couple songs together now, and we're releasing one of them. And some of the process of like what it's like to write together. First of all, it's hard enough to write a song by yourself. It's a complicated matter to write a song with somebody else, and then yet even more complicated to put it all online. We wrote the song on Zoom. We don't really know what the right way of writing songs is. The first chunk of I remember hearing about how Amanda Cook, if you guys know who Amanda Cook is, and Stephanie Gretzinger, they're songwriters, worship leaders. When they write songs together, the first hour that they sit down is they're just sitting together, just talking about how life is going, and they're just catching up. And that's what Mona and I were doing. We're just like, so what's God doing in your life? And she just unpacked for me just that experience that she had shared. And I remember feeling like, wow, she feels like kind of stuck. So that's like, after sharing, we started worshiping, and I was on mute, and it was just Mona, so that we don't like kind of clash. Some of the stuff that she sang, like she was pouring out her heart, like pouring out her prayer to the Lord, and that's what we built this song around. So now that you've heard it, Emma and Johan, starting with Emma, like what are your first kind of impressions after hearing the song for the first couple times?
You can tell, or like that it's just so of the Lord, but more importantly, it's super relatable to the heart. And in a lot of ways, specifically for me, I guess, Mo, what you shared about like just that being in like a place that like you don't know what the Lord is doing with you in that place, I think applies to so many contexts. Like it can apply like situationally, but I guess for me it definitely applies just like in what the Lord's doing in my heart in regards to my vocation that I can't see. And I'm a person that like wants to know the blueprint. I'm like, okay, tell me what it's gonna happen, tell me when it's gonna happen, like I want to know. And like that very first line of like there's joy in the waiting, it's almost like that's a prayer in itself. Like, Lord, like let my heart know and believe that there's joy in the waiting. Like help me to see the joy in the waiting. So I guess those are my first initial like standout thoughts. So
yeah, that's amazing. And you dropped a big kind of Catholic word there, vocation, which we'll jump into again, because not assuming that everybody knows like that the word vocation actually has a lot of baggage for Catholics, and maybe for other Christians, it's like, what's vocation? Is that like when you enter a trade, like you become a carpenter kind of thing? Yeah. And we'll dive into that a little more, but I'd love to hear, Johan, what you think, your first thoughts hearing the song.
The first thing it was just the sound of it was amazing. And then one of the things is I always lose myself in the music, and then I stop listening to the lyrics. This
You
is,
better lose it. Sorry.
Yeah. But actually, something that I caught on was also in the bridge when it was talking about not being scared in the dark, and then the morning sun rises at a certain time. When you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're in darkness, it's different than darkness when you're at home. You literally cannot see your hand in front of you. And it's so often, I think, especially the waiting and I guess in darkness, not knowing what's in front of you, you kind of, at least for me, you start to imagine kind of scary monsters, things you're very worried about. I know a lot of my friends, and I mean myself included, that just, they make up things even worse than they are. I know one of my friends, he's so scared to look at his vocation because he's scared of what he might find.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about the rising of the sun is it's completely not on our time. The sun comes up at a certain time in the morning, and we just have to wait, and it'll come at the right time because there's only this one time for the sunrise. And yeah, it was a really, really, really beautiful bridge that you guys wrote there.
Thanks, Johan. Wow, that's like so meaningful. Like,
that's profound. Wow.
Yeah, super profound.
And
So
coming from you, I'm sorry, Joe.
No, it's fine. We've dropped the word vocation a number of times now. I'm spotlighting you, Mo, because I want you to like define it for us. Like for those people who are hearing the word vocation and people are saying, what the heck are they talking about? For our Catholic audience, they're like, yeah, totally, my vocation. But just let's kind of unpack what that means. Like, what does vocation mean in our context, and why is it so meaningful to us?
For Christians, we believe that our ultimate resting place isn't here. We're meant to live in heaven and be united with our God for all eternity. And so our vocation is really just our pathway to getting there. And so for some people that could look like marriage, having a family and just like ministering to your family and bringing them to Christ while you're here on earth. And then also you can live that vocation as a single person, or Catholics, we have beautiful religious vocations, priesthood, consecrated single life. I don't think that's religious, but could be so many different avenues, but ultimately resulting in the same destination, and that is to be united with God forever. So,
and let me open it up here, because I feel like as Catholics, at least, especially as you become kind of like a young adult, or you enter into like your early 20s or late teens, like discerning is another big word, like trying to understand. So the paradigm that we're in is that like, we believe that every person, God has a plan for their life, for their ultimate happiness and joy in this earth. And in the Catholic realm, we believe that like there's a particular vocation on your life. And it usually falls into like 4 categories, like married life, religious life, priesthood, technically, and like consecrated single life. I think that's kind of how it falls in. I'm in the married vocation. So in a sense, I've discerned, or I've heard from God that my call is to marriage. And so I've gotten married, I have 2 kids. Would you add anything, Johan? Because again, you went to the seminary, which is to discern another particular vocation, which is the priesthood, at least in the Catholic tradition. It's not just a job, you don't just apply to become a priest, it's like a calling. The word vocation comes from the Latin vocare, which literally means call. Would you add anything, Johan? I
think one of the best things about the monastery up there where we did my year,
I think the biggest thing was in Mission, right? Mission BC, Christ the King.
Mission BC, yeah. It really gives you a chance for silence. It allows, I think even in your first verse, you talked about that. You said about stillness is your fullness, in this silence, you're present. And it's really true. It's very, very hard to hear God in noise. And I think one of the biggest things that I learned there, other than that he speaks to you in the silence, is that when you are called to something doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but he'll give you the grace. And because there are different people there, it's not because there are people, married couples come there for retreats. There are seminarians there, but there are also monks there. And, you know, being a monk it's almost like a level above, where they choose to live there and not leave for the rest of their lives. You think about how hard of a decision that is, you know, and but then you look on their faces and you just see something. It's almost like a peace you don't see anywhere else in the world. And you're thinking, how do they have this when they've given up kind of everything? And so yeah, I think a lot about the vocation is listening to the silence and then knowing that the grace will come.
So there's a level of like, in this mode or where you're at right now, there's a desire, you're almost like on a quest to try and hear from God what your vocation or your call is, the way you're meant to live your life. Yeah. And that God wants to reveal that to you, and you have a free choice to accept that call, whether it's to priesthood, to marriage, or religious life, or any other vocation. And you're saying that you see the men, and even the men and women who come to the monastery who have said yes to that call. For those in the monastery who have said yes to the call, there's a real peace. There's a real peace in them saying yes. And I'd love to hear what Emma thinks, like, because we're, again, back to the idea of vocation and frustration. It's like, why is there frustration when it comes to vocation? Like, so Johan's saying there's peace when you discern your vocation, but like, can it be frustrating?
Yes. Great question. Definitely. And I think the frustration comes from, okay, like, for example, I guess I can just speak to me and my sort of life of like, I believe that the Lord is calling me to married life. Again, I can't discern in any capacity because like beyond that, because I'm a single woman, and to discern, to like actually marry, I would need to be in a relationship with someone and then discern marriage with that person. So it's like, you're in this like space of, okay, like I feel that the Lord's calling me to marriage, and it's like, so, but like, when is anything going to transpire? Like, what do I do? Do I act? Like, how do I wait? Like, what does waiting for that look like? And so I think the frustration in that is just the like, okay, God, like, I trust you, and I want to surrender like everything to you, but like, I need the courage to do that. Like, I need the abandonment and the docility to do that, and that's hard.
Waiting sucks.
It really sucks. And this song has really, hearing it now, the few times I've heard it, has really spoken to me in so many ways, and like speaking into that frustration. Just like, yeah, even like that line, there's joy in the waiting. Like, to be almost like, to be content in the present moment, and like what that looks like, and how that's what the Lord desires. And
yeah, that's amazing. Like, beautiful. Like, can you relate, Johan? Like, what's been your experience with vocation, waiting, and frustration, and waiting? Yeah, and like maybe not knowing at this moment.
It's funny. I mean, I definitely think I'm called to the married life as well. So I guess we can relate there, Emma, and just two single people. But
waiting.
Yeah. But it's just one of the toughest things is it's funny how much hindsight makes a different view of your whole life, you know, because you feel like you're ready, and then you look a year or two and you think, oh wow, maybe I wasn't meant to meet the person. I always think, oh man, I could have worked on myself. Maybe if I met the right person, it wouldn't be the right time. And I don't know. I think maybe I'm sure this is similar with women too. But I think one of the things that guys struggle with a lot is just when you have to just sit and do nothing. It's just you want to do something, you know. And when you just have to sit, yeah, you just get fidgety. You start to make wrong decisions. You waiting for an answer. It's not easy. I don't know. I find that when I'm super stressed, not stressed, but like I have a bunch of stuff to do, it's just life kind of starts to flow. And then, when I have this big chunk of free time, 2020, when everything closed down and we didn't have anything to do for a while, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the, what the move forward was. It was a really, really tough time. I really wish that, I had really prayed and learned and thought about how to be joyful in that waiting period. Yeah, it doesn't happen that easily, I guess.
What's been your experience, Mona, from your perspective and like your own? I feel like I don't have a horse in this race because like
you're married.
Like I'm married, and
Wow.
So maybe you're all like looking at me on this Valentine's Day. It's like, yeah, Joe, like you're gonna go on a date tonight with your wife, and meanwhile, like we're like on this Zoom call. Like, you're gonna leave this Zoom call and like go spend time with your wife, and we're gonna be like, well, close the laptop. Now what? Well, I don't know. I'm assuming you guys don't have dates scheduled tonight. So.
Well, you know what though? This is the thing. There's something like once you kind of are joyful in the waiting, it's almost like it's more so like being on a roller coaster rather than just like, sitting scared with your eyes closed. It's almost like every day is an adventure. You're not sure where, God's going to take you, but because you're happy and excited for the next day, because he has your best interests at heart. I don't know, the mystery becomes exciting.
For sure. I'm married now, but it doesn't mean it's like I'm like, and take this with a grain of salt, like, all my problems have disappeared now that I'm in my vocation. Like, there are lots of challenges in the married vocation. Even like hearing and taking the first step towards your vocation is like literally the first step of like many. And what Mona said earlier, where it's like, it's kind of a step in the ultimate vocation, which is like as Saint Therese of Lisieux, this French saint who Mona is named after, Saint Therese of Lisieux, and she's kind of picked her like stage name, Mona Therese, in honor of Saint Therese of Lisieux. One of her quotes is like, "My vocation is love." Like, underpinning all of our particular vocations is this relationship with Jesus, who is love, for eternity. And so in a sense, I am like actually still waiting for that fulfillment, for that total eternal fulfillment in heaven. And that's my vocation is more of a vessel than it is a destination itself. It's meant to take me to eternity. But some of the things you said, Johan, where it's like, as a man discerning the vocation, the real risk isn't that you won't do stuff, it's that you'll do too much. There's a certain phase in my life where, like I just always wanted to date somebody because I needed to like be actively discerning my vocation, when it might not have been healthy, for me to like always be jumping in and out of relationships or dates or pursuing women all the time. And I mean, the Lord wrote straight with a lot of my crooked lines, and he still does every day. And in a marriage with Marian, and I wouldn't regret that for a day. And the children I have, I love, and I know that the Lord led me here, but I totally know what you mean when it comes to just overdoing it sometimes. And like going back to the song, where like the idea of like waiting and being still and just resting where we are is a big challenge. So I'd love to hear, like, as we kind of like bounce the ideas of what we're talking about tonight, and almost like thinking about all the lonely hearts on this evening, who are maybe like, instead of, they're not out on a date, but they're watching this video, like with us, welcome. Like, what do you think this song has for people? Like, what do you think this song could unpack for people if they are frustrated in their journey of vocation? What would you guys say?
Like, just because I wrote these lyrics doesn't mean that I learned from them. Like, I haven't learned from them yet. Like I'll play it on I was playing it this today, and I just constantly reminded, like, oh yeah, God, like I need to be reminded that you're in this with me and that I'm not alone. Because I think that's the greatest temptation for those who haven't, really, lived that vocation, haven't, who are single and still waiting and discerning on their own. You're not alone in this. And that's like probably the strongest takeaway from this song that I found, and I still find very consoling, is to sing that. And whether you feel it or not, just like saying, like, no, God, I'm going to choose to believe that you're in this with me. You're with me here. Is there more I need? I'm going nowhere without you, right? So just give some hope. And I also think back to, that my verse, that second verse that I sing, this life that I've chosen is peaceful and wide open, that there's freedom here. There's openness here that even in this season of singleness, there is still an adventure that Johan was explaining earlier, that there's a lot that God still has in store for us, and he's not holding back. He's not, this isn't just some kind of test for us to pass through, but actually he's desiring for us to encounter him in some deeper way in this season. So it's all going to be, it's all useful. And our God is so intentional that he doesn't want us to just live it and like be in it, but he wants us to grow from it. He wants us to be prepared to make a yes, to make a decision. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having fun being single. I don't know about you guys.
I'm feeling 22.
I wish I was 22.
I turned 32 in 2 months, so maybe I'll do a cover. What do you think, Emma? What do you think this song has for people who are maybe stuck or feeling, even if it has nothing to do with their vocation, but just maybe they're feeling FOMO or whatever, right? Like, what do you think this song has for people on this day of Valentine?
Oh yeah. Well, I can for sure, the FOMO is a perfect word for it, because like the line that just really stood out to me, I guess, in this whole the waiting is also like, with all that you are, I'm not missing out. And I feel like, especially as like, like as a woman, and I assume men, you can relate to the same thing, there's always this like pressure to like be in the next like phase, the next step. So if it's like, if I'm single, there's the pressure to date. If you're dating, it's the pressure to get engaged and then get married. If you're married, it's the pressure to have 1 kid, then it's 2, and you know what I mean? Like there's always the next thing. And so it's like, oh, I'm always missing out, I'm always a step behind, or I should be somewhere where someone else is. And I guess in the context of my life, like both my roommates both just got engaged. There's 3 other of my close friends who also just got engaged, another on the way that they will get engaged in the next couple months. So it's just this like experience of I'm missing out, or there's like, is there something wrong with me that this isn't happening for me as fast as I want it, or in the same time as everyone else? And it's like this great reminder, like this song is such a consolation of like with all that you are, I'm not missing out. Like I'm going nowhere without you. Like Jesus, because of you, because of how you see me as a daughter, because of the call you've placed on my life and the time that's gonna play out in, which is perfect and not mine, that is enough. Like I want to be content in that. I desire to be content in that, because that's your will for me. But like, that's also, I'm being real, that's not easy. I definitely have intense FOMO, and it's really hard, and it's painful, and it just eats away at like a lot of how you see yourself too. It's like, what's wrong with me, or like, am I worthy? But it's actually like not about me. And I'm like, to shift that focus and be like, God, my prayer right now is a lot of like, God, I want to see myself how you see me. Like I want to know my worth the way you call me worthy. And like, again, this is such a beauty. Like I'm going nowhere without you. I want to be with you. I want that to be my vocation is love, and like that should be my primary, and like living out of that, and then the rest will come when it comes. But yeah.
Preach it, girl. Man, that's incredible, everything you just said. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. So yeah, Mona, like what's in this song for people to hear, like for people who are, stuck at home and kind of frustrated or tired or done with it, what do you think, Mona?
Yeah, also in response to what Emma shared, because it's so common to feel that sense of like, God, like what's happening? Like I see it. It's like, it's right in front of me. It's surrounding me. Like all these different vocations that are so beautiful in their own way. Like, where is that for me? And yeah, something that I've also been like praying with and reflecting on is that you know, God, he loves me personally. His love is so personal to me. And so even though that doesn't sound like anything profound or maybe new, like, oh, God loves me, okay, sure. But if you've ever taken the Discovery Faith study, you know that his love it's so intentionally for you. And there's seasons where he's not going to love you the same way he loves your friend. He's not going to love you in the same way he loves your roommate. Because what does that say about him, right? You know, oh, I gave so-and-so their spouse. I set those people up. Like, I'm going to give them this and that. And it's like, oh God, like, why don't you just copy paste it for me, you know? But actually he wants to do more than just that. He wants to give you an even like more beautiful story that is so personal to you and your own heart. And God sees you, he knows you. And it's about giving him that space and trusting him in the journey, because yeah, it's not easy, but it just showcases his personal love for you. So be consoled by that.
Back to you, Johan.
I think each of our personal life journey with Jesus is our own. And it's really hard when you compare to someone who has their own journey. Maybe their struggles happen in their marriage while yours are happening while you're single. I mean, everyone's kind of journey is different. And learning to trust God in your uncertainty. You know, there'll be days where you feel bad and days where you feel good. If you know that he's there with you, I think life can just it becomes exciting. I like when we talk about vocation, I think of the apostles too, and what their lives were before they met Jesus and after. You know, it was pretty brutal after they met Jesus. You know, there really wasn't a lot of, Jesus was the consolation, but it was a pretty hard life. And it was also a life of excitement and joy. And despite all the probably much more difficult road that they chose, you can look at your life as exciting, or you can look at it as a tragedy. You know that God's with you. It becomes more of the former than the latter. And it's something that I've started to realize as I get into my mid-20s to late. It's you don't see that. Maybe it's harder to see that at like 19 and 20. You think, oh, I should have figured everything out by now. I'm already in my 20s.
One of the things that popped into my head as we're talking about like the fear of missing out, like I love that you just highlighted that line, like with all that you are, I'm not missing out. My wife sent me this meme. It's like this dude sitting on a couch, and I'll pop this in the video, and this will be over our faces right now. You're not seeing it on the Zoom call, but it's like the joy of missing out, JOMO. And I thought it was amazing because like, oh man, this is the perfect meme for this song, because it's like Joe and Mo, and it's the joy of missing out. It's like the decision to actually like not compare yourself to other people and to just be okay where you are, even if it's like not the most amazing thing, that I'm actually okay here and now, and there's joy in this particular moment. So I feel like, yeah, that JOMO is perfect in two ways, that it's like our names combined, and that it's like the heart of the song. It's the joy of missing out. So like, we're just gonna wrap up in the last few minutes. What is like you guys' favorite line from the song? And everyone can chime in here.
There's joy in the waiting.
There you go.
JOMO.
Easy one. The JOMO line.
Done.
In the dark, I'm not scared of waiting.
Yeah. Especially like your take on it. Like you like exegeting the line for us. I was like, oh man, that's meaningful. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah. And it's just like, Johan, you go hiking all the time. Yeah. So you must really experience what it's like to see the sunrise, you know?
There are times where you try to get to the top of the mountain, and because when it gets to a dark point, you really can't see in front of you.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of just guessing at a certain point. And it's definitely
not unlike
trust
the
exercise.
Spiritual life. Yeah, not unlike the spiritual life. What about you, Mo? What's your favorite line?
You're with me here.
Yeah, you're with me. That's the very first line of the song that was written. I like the second half of Mona's verse, which is, you've given me freedom, I give my life back to you. So it's like, yeah, like that's what we're meant to do with our freedom. And it kind of jumps into what freedom means. It's the freedom to live our relationship with God to its fullest. Like God has given us the freedom to choose, and when we choose him, that's when we're most alive. So like it's kind of like what Johan was getting into earlier. It's like, it's so weird to like be given freedom and then almost anti-freedom to make decisions that limit your freedom, but at the same time, that's really where we become most free and most alive. It's kind of this paradoxical thing. So just wanted to thank you guys for spending time with us and unpacking your hearts and just helping us really understand this song better. Like, I feel like my relationship with this song is deeper now because of the things that you guys have shared. Honestly, this song means a lot more to me based on just how you guys have responded to it. And I really appreciate it. I mean, again, we're just like four friends on a couch talking about life and vocation and song. So I hope whoever's watching this appreciated our hearts and just what we've shared. If you guys haven't heard this song yet, you can check it out on all platforms. It's out already. Joseph San Jose and Mona Therese, Nowhere Without You. If you're on Spotify, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, on YouTube, and everywhere. Anything else you guys want to say just to kind of let people know about the song?
Listen to it.
Listen to it.
It's amazing. It's so
it speaks for itself.
Yeah. Amen. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye. Oh, wait. Let's get on the voice and let's hit the button.
Do I have to?
Now Johan's frozen.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't think I have good.
I can't do the video.
There, Johan's just frozen and like angry. I don't think he's gonna hit the button here. Like, after hearing the song, what's the verdict? We all, and then the singer has to choose one of us, right? Like,
oh.
Really, like Joe, I'm so sorry. I love you, but like, but I really feel like I'd go further with Mona. If you've seen The Voice, that's what it's like. But goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.